Thanks a lot. I'm Bob Francis.
And I'm Sarah Garman. And here are some headlines from the week that was.
In 1962, the Kennedy administration says the naval blockade of Cuba has ended because the Soviets have taken the last offensive weapons off the island.
The Vatican has made a couple of major changes in the church this week in 1964. First, Latin is no longer the official language of the liturgy.
Then the church finally forgives Jews for their part in the crucifixion of Jesus Christ.
Also in 1964, J. Edgar Hoover calls the civil rights activist Dr. Martin Luther King the most notorious liar in the country, but he doesn't back up his accusations with proof.
In 1978, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat becomes the first Arab leader to visit Israel, despite protests and even death threats from other Arabs in the Middle East.
And finally, NBC's the target of protests and maybe even a death threat or two from enraged football fans. With 1 minute left to go in the Jets-Raiders game, NBC programmers cut to a movie version of the novel Heidi. Fans missed out on one of the most exciting comebacks in the NFL, but NBC promises it will never cut away from a game again.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Extra.
This week marked not the end of an era, but the end of many eras. Our top story comes from...
Wait, we're getting a flash from November 22nd, 1963. Let's cut to NBC's Robert McNeil in Dallas, Texas.
Several shots were fired as President Kennedy's motorcade passed through downtown Dallas. Crowds screamed and lay down on the grass. As the motorcade went by, police broke away and began chasing an unknown gunman across some railroad tracks. It was not known if the shots were aimed at the president. Repeat, it is not known if the shots were aimed at the president. This is Robert McNeil, NBC News in Dallas, Texas.
Okay, that was a flash from NBC's Robert McNeil with the presidential motorcade. And now we've received a report from one of the wire services. This is an unconfirmed report. President Kennedy has been shot. We repeat, this is an unconfirmed report. We'll be trying to contact some of our correspondents in the area and pass on any information we get as soon as we get the information. Once again, the unconfirmed report, President Kennedy has been shot in Dallas. For Sarah Garman, this is Bob Francis. Back to you, Tom. The following is a special report from 1963. This is Bob Francis, along with Sarah Garman. We received the first report of trouble in Dallas around 12:30 Central Standard Time, and this is what we know right now. President Kennedy and Texas Governor John Connally were shot by an assassin or assassins. Either 2 or 3 shots were fired. The latest report we have is the president and the governor are both still alive. They were rushed to Parkland Memorial Hospital in Dallas, and right now we are working on contacting our reporters at the scene. Sarah.
Yes, we still haven't gotten a hold of our reporters. We hope to very soon. President Kennedy has flown to Texas earlier in the week to spend 3 days there. He arrived yesterday. About 200,000 people were lining the streets of downtown Dallas to greet the president. That was by far the biggest crowd on this Texas tour so far. The president was on his way to the Dallas Trade Center when the shots were fired.
Okay, our correspondent Jennifer Butler is now on the phone with us from Parkland Memorial Hospital. Jennifer, what's the situation there?
I'm reporting from a buff-colored hallway right outside the emergency wing at Parkland Memorial Hospital in Dallas. No one is being allowed into the emergency wing, but we've been told the president is still alive, but in serious condition. We have no specifics on either the president or Governor Connally's injuries. There's a call out for the top surgical specialist in Dallas right now, and a Catholic priest has been asked for. That's standard in cases like these where the condition is serious. Reporting from Parkland Memorial Hospital, I'm Jennifer Butler.
And this is Christine Aston, reporting from the Dallas Trade Mart. The president was supposed to arrive here right around now. He was to speak to a number of business and civic leaders. In fact, the contents of his speech had been released so it could make the deadline for the afternoon papers. When the news reached here, everyone sat in stunned silence for a moment. Then the members of the press began running for the phones. Right now, only a few reporters and some busboys are left. Everyone has gone home in the light of this terrible tragedy. Reporting from the Dallas Trade Mart, I'm Christine Aston.
So that's the situation as we know it now. The president was going to give a speech. The speech canceled because of the attempted assassination of President Kennedy and Texas Governor Connally. Both men are apparently still alive, though in a serious condition. This is just a reminder we will stay on the air as long as this crisis lasts. Now, Carson Shine is reporting from downtown Dallas.
several shots were fired as President Kennedy's motorcade drove through downtown Dallas. There are conflicting reports as to what happened. Right now, police have surrounded a 3-block area around an office building where the assassins may be holed up on the 5th floor. There's also reports a man and a woman were seen on a grassy knoll. Motorcycle police in the motorcade chased them on foot. The scene here is one of chaos, as you can well imagine, and it could be several hours before we get the whole story. Reporting from downtown Dallas, I'm Karsten Schein.
The president's mother and father have been told of the tragedy at the Kennedy estate in Massachusetts. In Washington, we still don't have any word, but we expect to have a hookup shortly. Now let's go back to Dallas. Jennifer Butler is at Parkland Memorial Hospital with the latest word.
Thank you. Witnesses are saying 3 shots were fired. We still have no specifics, but apparently the president was gravely injured, perhaps shot in the head. 2 Catholic priests have gone into the emergency room with the president, along with the wives of both President Kennedy and Governor Connolly. The governor has been moved into an operating room, and there's been a call for B-positive blood, though it's not sure who the blood is for. Again, both the president and Texas Governor Connolly have been wounded by an assassin. Their condition has been reported as serious. Governor Connolly has been moved into an operating room, but the president has not been moved. Someone overheard a guard saying the president didn't have to be moved because the facilities in the emergency room were adequate. B-positive blood has been taken in, but we do not know who it is for. My colleague Jody Norbert has just arrived with the Presidential Press Corps. Let me pass the phone to her. We're up live.
We believe about 250,000 people were in downtown Dallas to see the presidential motorcade. It was the biggest crowd so far on the president's Texas tour. The president and Governor Connolly were riding along with their wives. The press was driving behind in a separate car, about 5 lengths behind. President Kennedy's car had just passed under a bridge when either 2 or 3 shots were fired. I heard 2, but many eyewitnesses are saying there were 3 shots fired. Anyway, things happened very quickly. The president slumped forward. It looked like he was shot in the head. Governor Connolly also was shot, but he stayed in sort of a sitting position. The Secret Servicemen following the president's car jumped onto the truck, and they quickly sped away. Now, the crowd was panicked after the gunshots, and the presidential motorcade got very spread out, taking anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes for them to reach the hospital after the president's car. In fact, we just got here now. There's also a report now that Vice President Johnson may have also been wounded in the shooting. He was not riding in the president's car, but several cars back. An eyewitness reports the vice president came into the emergency room holding his arm, and Mrs. Johnson has been admitted to the emergency room now. However, right now this is just a rumor. None of it has been confirmed. We'll let you know more as we get the details. This is Jody Norbert reporting from Parkland Memorial Hospital in Dallas.
Thank you very much for that update. Again, we want to confirm that that report is just speculation. Vice President Johnson was riding in a separate car from the president for obviously good safety concerns. The two were usually between 60 and 120 yards apart at all times.
Okay, now we have an update from Karsten Schein again. And our reporter, Helen McGowan, is standing by at the police headquarters in Dallas. Let's go to Helen first with the report from Dallas Police.
Okay, this is Helen McGowan reporting from police headquarters in Dallas. Dallas police have arrested 25-year-old Lee Harold Oswald in connection with the attempted assassination of President Kennedy and Texas Governor John Connolly. He's being held now for questioning. Authorities are preparing to do that right now. Reporting from police headquarters in Dallas, I'm Helen McGowan.
And this is Karsten Schein reporting again from downtown Dallas. Police are now searching the building believed to be where the assassin fired the shots. Investigators have found 4 empty cartridges on the 5th floor of the building. We don't know for sure if they are the cartridges used in the shooting. However, police are operating for now under that assumption. A police dragnet is still in effect, now in a 5-block area, while they continue to look for clues. This is Karsten Schein in downtown Dallas. Back to you.
We've now established a hookup from Washington with Sina Shipley. Sina, can you tell us what happened there?
Well, the Senate was in the middle of a quorum call discussing the issue of giving more money to rural libraries. At the time, Senator Ted Kennedy, the president's younger brother, was presiding over the Senate and signing some pictures when an aide came running in. The junior senator from Massachusetts listened for a moment, then went running out a side door. All the pictures went flying all over the floor. A number of the other senators were kind of annoyed at the interruption. Then the aide went from senator to senator, telling them the news. A number left immediately, rushing for the wire copy up here in the radio gallery. Another group hovered around the minority leader, Senator Dirksen. who said if there ever were a time to pray, this is the time. Right now, the Senate is in recess. Wait.
This is Jane Wenning reporting from the Senate chamber. Right now, the Senate has gone back into session. They're ringing the bell to get lawmakers to return to the chamber. Apparently, the Senate chaplain has come in to offer a prayer for the president. Then the Senate will move to recess again.
We'd like to break in right here at this moment and say that the wire services are now reporting a Secret Service man was killed in Dallas earlier this afternoon. And this just in, a correction. The suspect's name is Lee Harvey Oswald, not Harold, as we earlier reported.
I'd also like to add that the rumor Vice President Johnson was wounded in the shooting is not true. He is unhurt, though obviously shaken from the events, as we probably all are. Sina?
Yes, that's good news. And we can use all the good news we can get right now. Yes, the report has just come over, the wire service here. A number of senators are still up here in the gallery, despite the call back to the Senate. They think we have more information, but unfortunately, we don't have any more than you and the listeners know already.
Okay, well, let's go back to Jan Wenning for a report in the Senate chamber. Okay, Jan. Do we have her?
I'm sorry. We had to send her away for a moment.
All right, we're switching to CBS in New York. Now, here is CBS anchorman Dallas Townsend.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States is dead. John F. Kennedy has died of the wounds received in an assassination in Dallas less than an hour ago. We repeat, it has just been announced that President Kennedy is dead.
Fans. With 1 minute left to go in the Jets-Raiders game, NBC programmers cut to a movie version of the novel Heidi. Fans missed out on one of the most exciting comebacks in the NFL, but NBC promises it will never cut away from a game again.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Extra.
This biggest liar in the country, but he doesn't back up his accusations with proof.
In 1978, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat becomes the first Arab leader to visit Israel, despite protests and even death threats from other Arabs in the Middle East.
And finally, NBC's the target of protests and maybe even a death threat or two from enraged football fans.
Thanks a lot. I'm Bob Francis.
And I'm Sarah Garman. And here are some headlines from the week that was.
Something's happening. Something in the air.
In 1962, the Kennedy administration says the naval blockade of Cuba has ended because the Soviets have taken the last defensive weapons off the island.
The Vatican
week marked not the end of an era, but the end of many eras. Our top story comes from...
Wait, we're getting a flash from November 22nd, 1963. Let's cut to NBC's Robert McNeil in Dallas, Texas.
Several shots were fired as President Kennedy's motorcade passed through...
The Vatican has made a couple of major changes in the church this week in 1964. First, Latin is no longer the official language of the liturgy.
Then the church finally forgives Jews for their part in the crucifixion of Jesus Christ.
Also in 1964, J. Edgar Hoover calls the civil rights activist Dr. Martin Luther King the most notorious